This is a film study that on the surface is going to focus on the Lions' 6th possession against the Chiefs, all 8 pass plays, I believe, officially that is, and they closed to within 20-17 of a game that they ended up losing 30-17. There's a reason for me doing this, and I'll kind of reveal that a little bit at the end. It's that, number one, I think Detroit's pass mode is relying on a version of Jared Goff that is he's at the height of his powers. 75, almost 76% completion percentage this year, 14 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He threw the ball 29 times in this game. I think that it's possible that he could have gotten away with 37, 38, or even 40. He's playing that well, if you ask me, delivering the football. Number 2, moving forward against the Bucs. Their defense has played really well for most of 2025. The lone exception was their Week 5 win in Seattle against the Seahawks. If you don't know, Sam Darnold throws for 341 yards, 28 of 34 passing, and 4 touchdowns against the late interception by Levante David that really ended up being the difference. So let's talk about how Detroit got this done. Like I said, they're down 20-10. They've just got to stop against Mahomes on a third down scramble. It's 12 personnel. Montgomery's in the game. I do think that Montgomery needed to get the ball more in this matchup, to be honest with you. Only 4 carries. The Chiefs end up playing like a funnel type coverage here where it's basically 3 over 2 to each side. So 3 over 2 here, although, one of the 2 hasn't yet released, and then 3 over 2 to the top side here. The problem is for Kansas City, no one's on the running back. It's Montgomery. He leaks out. It's a pretty easy, I think 22 or 23-yard gain for them. I'd like to see Montgomery get more touches globally, to be honest with you. The whole thing about who used to start games, Montgomery, and now it's Gibbs and only Gibbs, I feel like that needs to go by the wayside in both directions, meaning rotate them. Don't let defenses know who's going to start the game. Be a little bit more versatile. Give them different looks, in my opinion. Both of those guys, you'd like to see, ideally, both of them get the ball 20 times, but that's not realistic, just given how much talent there is on this roster. We'll go through each snap on this possession here. Like I said, this is the very next play after that 23-yard gain on the easy flip to Montgomery. It's a 12 personnel grouping for Detroit, and it's like a broken bunch concept. Now, Laporta motions across, and essentially you're talking about 3 to one side. So a flood concept, if you will. I can't really draw St. Brown's route the way that I would like to the bottom side of the screen here in yellow because I just don't have that much screen to deal with. It's a completion to him where he kind of pushes to the sideline here and then is going to bring his route back into the middle after, essentially a smash concept or smash route here by Laporta and a clear out route, another one by Jamison Williams. Really nice blitz pickup by Montgomery, who I think offers a lot in pass pro. Here it is, it's off the edge, the right edge for the Lions offense, and Montgomery handles Drew Tranquill one-on-one by himself. And in fact, the very next snap is really a carbon copy of the same exact play. The only thing is the ball will be on the other hash. Like I said, ends up being a 12-yard gain to St. Brown. They really made an effort to get him involved at this moment in time, down 20-10 and trying to close the gap. Unfortunately, the defense unable to get a stop in the fourth quarter. Very next play with the ball on the right hash. So it's an 11 personnel group now. Still 12 personnel group, so they didn't sub anybody. So Laporta is set up as the X to the backside. And really functionally, this is the same exact concept. The only difference is St. Brown didn't run his route, to the sideline and then return back to the middle. He ran essentially a deeper comeback route while Khalif Raymond was on the clear out. In addition, the thing that makes it a real carbon copy from the last play, Montgomery is picking up Drew Tranquill off the opposite side again. So it's the same, very similar stunt call or blitz call by the Chiefs. Montgomery picks it up one more time. Goff quickly gets the ball out to St. Brown, and I think we get 11 yards. So if you can't tell yet, the one thing that I think Detroit might focus on, especially if the pass pro holds up, is throwing the football a lot against Tampa Bay. It's going to be a great matchup. Those teams have matched up, I think, 4 times, dating back to 2023, or this will be the 4th time, I should say. But in any case, very next snap, after 2 completions in a row to St. Brown, really relying on him and clear out concepts. So they're going to motion Laporta out, create essentially a trip set, 2 clear out routes this time. And so you get just this inversion of the play we saw 2 snaps ago. And instead of St. Brown running to the sideline and then bringing his route back to the right hash, this time he's going to bring his route into the middle, kind of threatened to cross the linebacker's face. I think it's Bolton. And then he'll just snap his route back in down towards the bottom of our screen, the right-hand side for Goff. Easy completion. Good recognition, if you ask me, by the safety or the nickel DB for the Chiefs. I think they have exceptional awareness. And I kind of went over that, number one, in the reaction video and the first film study video that I put out this week on Monday. And I want to reiterate that with an illustration here on this very next play. So it's a 2nd and 4 after that 6-yard completion to St. Brown. The ball is on the right hash. And I think Detroit's just trying to steal yards into the boundary here. So it's going to be a fast sweep to Jameson Williams. I mean, functionally, this is just a run play, but technically it goes down as a pass because he flips the ball forward. So watch the recognition that you get from McDuffie here, okay? So the way that I think this is working out pre-motion is you've got man, but as there's motion across, McDuffie signals or says something to the middle, and so the blocking scheme, the way this is going to work out is Montgomery would lead up to the outside, and as Tesla steps down to go block Tranquil, who's essentially on the same blitz that I talked about twice already, instead of McDuffie following Tesla, which doesn't make any sense, that would subtract him from the run fit, he just stays. So really he, quote, shouldn't be there according to the play call if the Chiefs are actually playing man. So as such, I think Brock Wright has to block him, and then Jameson Williams, has to kind of bounce this to the outside. There's still a player there, I think it's Cook, who seemed to just be ever present. My point in talking about that is numerically, against certain defenses, you'll be able to gain an edge for some of these types of plays. That one in particular to the boundary. The Chiefs have an incredibly high awareness level globally, and in this case, it's exemplified by Trent McDuffie. Screen that I think is a great play call, once again into the boundary with the ball on the right hash. And it's 11 personnel grouping, by the way. Laporta is the only tight end, so they've taken one of the 2 tight ends off the field in the case of Brock Wright. Motion across by Tesla, and you're going to get basically 2 clear out routes by Tesla. Sorry about that. And then also Jameson Williams. Both of those guys going to run clear out concepts. And I think at the end of the play, just off screen, you kind of see a little bit of disappointment in Jameson Williams in recognizing that maybe he could have gone and got this safety. But the way Detroit set it up is a great job, if you ask me. First of all, Tate Ratledge handles or hooks this defensive tackle, if you will, and then on the completion to Montgomery, you get a 2-on-2. Here with the 2 offensive linemen have worked out to the second level. Montgomery able to push downfield. The Chiefs certainly have a bunch of guys in pursuit. Ends up being 14 yards. So let's pull this from the end zone angle and show you a couple of things. Number one, looks like a 4-2 front for the Chiefs on the motion by Tesla. You're going to get McDuffie kind of resetting in to create essentially almost a 4-3 type look. Really great job, like I said, by Ratledge, who's grabbed the defensive tackle to the outside, but then he's going to work to the play side. So basically get his hips, get his butt towards the play such that he's closed off or hooked the defensive tackle, and that allows a 3-on-2 in that limited space into the boundary. Basically, Montgomery catch it, work downhill, 14 yards. I'd like to see more screens. I'd like to see more involvement for Montgomery, to be honest with you. If you had to do this game over, you'd like for him to get more than 4 carries. Maybe some of this stuff, he had 2 catches on this drive, by the way. I've shown you both of them. Maybe some of this stuff would be the answer. Get him involved, especially early, because I think his types of runs, as well as Jahmyr Gibbs, have like a cumulative effect on the defense. The Lions get down here as we flip the field, and we're now into the fourth quarter. Like I said, we were down 20-10 to start this situation. Lions come down and make it 20-17 here in a moment on the unbelievable touchdown catch by Laporta. So Morton kind of switches gears with the ball on the right hash. He's been attacking into the boundary a ton. Now he goes to the field, tries to outflank basically the Chiefs defense. Motion from Gibbs into what essentially will end up being 4 to one side. We're talking about these 4. Now one of them will disappear. That'll be Laporta. His route, I have this drawn up wrong, my apologies. Laporta brings his route underneath. St. Brown runs essentially a speed out, and Jahmyr Gibbs has a choice route in the middle of the field. So we're talking about right here. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to bring his route back into the middle, but the Chiefs just don't get outflanked. Look at what they've got, requisite numbers to deal with it here. 4 that I've circled there, and then the 5th is Tranquil handling the under route or the drag from Laporta. My point is they're sound. They're very prepared. They do not get outflanked. Generally, they do not get outflanked. It's a quick completion to St. Brown for 6 yards. I think he had 3 catches, maybe 4 on this drive. And then finally, the touchdown to Laporta, which I already covered in a film study video I put out on him yesterday. It's a 2nd and 4 after that short completion to St. Brown. So he's going to motion across, and there's a lot going on here. Number one, Jameson Williams is going to cross the face of the linebackers and kind of sit right up near the F in Chiefs. Tight end, I think Brock Wright is going to sit up here near the H, and then Laporta is going to run all the way around, get to the back of the end zone. Off the snap, Goff is looking to the top side. Of course, that's where St. Brown is. During my Laporta video, I kind of talked about that. I'd like to see other guys be attached to the read, especially when you've got 3 down here. So to me, that's the read. There's no read here. This is just whether we like this matchup or not. And in this particular case, Goff chose not to throw the football over there. I think McDuffie's done a nice job there on St. Brown in coverage. But an amazing catch. And it's a credit to Goff from the standpoint that he gets through his reads so quickly, right? That everyone is high efficiency right now. In the Laporta video that I put out yesterday, I indicated that he is, I think, 78 or almost 79% catch percentage this year. St. Brown is ridiculous. He's at like 86 or almost maybe even 87%. But I'd like to see more guys attached to the read, specifically Jameson Williams, Sam Laporta. In this game, it seemed like we're constantly looking to St. Brown immediately after the snap. And I get it. He's the best player. He's an all-pro talent, performing at an all-pro level, in fact. But there's a lot of weapons on this offense, and I think that Jameson Williams, Sam Laporta can make plays as well. Great catch illustrated here by Laporta, getting the catch in the back of the end zone. I know it was in a losing effort, and the reason why, one of the focuses or impetus, I guess, for this video was this. The Seahawks threw the ball all over Tampa Bay. JSN had a big day. He's super efficient. I've made the comparison in Seahawks videos many times between JSN and St. Brown because they're so similar and so incredibly efficient. Despite not having, quote, long speed in the 40-yard dash, Seattle threw the ball all over the Bucs defense. Detroit wants a balanced offense. That's what Morton wants. That's what Dan Campbell wants. That's what Ben Johnson had. Having said that, I think you could rely on Goff a little bit more sometimes. The pass pro without Decker, I think, was a question mark coming into this game. So I understand. Hindsight is 20/20 here. A part of me wonders if they couldn't have maybe gone to some of this stuff earlier. Throwing the football, taking some of that gimme stuff into the boundary against the Bucs, I think this could be the way to go. I'm not going to say you will be unable to run the football on Tampa Bay, but they're a very physical defense. You guys know that from all the matchups that have occurred previously down in Tampa Bay in 2023, the win in the playoffs in 2023, and then the loss at home, I think week 2, 2024, but I might have my weeks wrong there. The point is, Goff is capable of handling as much as can be thrown at him. 29 passes against the Chiefs. I kind of feel like you could have had that number up to 37 or 38 and still been very efficient as long as the pass pro held up, and it generally did. In my opinion, he's playing the position as good as anybody in the league. 120 quarterback rating. That's the highest of his career ever. The yards per game and the yards per catch are down. I think yards per catch are 10.5, and last year was 11.8, if memory serves. Yards per game are down to 231. I think some of that is a byproduct of the field position that the offense has been handed at times by the defense, getting turnovers. But as it relates to the Tampa Bay Bucs, coming up, I'll have a couple of previews out before that game comes out on Monday. That extra day, man, is huge for me to be able to get previews out. Number one, there's the Lions game and then the Seahawks game that night, so I'll be able to get previews out for both games. Seahawks just matched up against the Bucs, so I got a really good look at them before. In any case, if you guys enjoyed this video, please let me know in the comment section. Usually, possession-style videos, number one, don't perform well, but I usually like to get them out in a winning effort. In this case, I wanted to use it to bring up a point or maybe a possibility that the Detroit Lions could rely on Jared Goff even more than they have been so far. Appreciate you guys' time.